I would love to have, I would say, Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. We took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband.
All right, Shalom. Want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to all the brothers and the few sisters out there. Unto like foreigners from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. As you can clearly hear what the orange man Nero was saying, and brothers, I already put it on a thing. This is from the chat, one of the chats that we have. Trump said, Jake, YNs were born criminals. So he was born criminals, y'all. Here comes the pain. All right, here comes the fucking pain. And we're getting closer and closer. Today, he also said he's going to send troops to Chicago, out there, New York, and actually the shootings and murder. Yeah, we had normally we have the West Indian parade, which it calmed down though. It was only 6 people that got shot. 1 person got slashed. Nobody got killed. Surprisingly, but yeah, I'm laughing at it because when you look at it, I remember growing up as a child from Brooklyn, New York, and this is when New York was at its height. It was New York and Washington, like murder capitals at the time, or they claim. And everybody, boast and brag, like, yeah, I'm from the hood. Yeah, don't come, you can't come to my block because da 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 da, boasting and bragging, like. And it's a sad situation where you can't even. Oh, that's even funnier too. The movie Original Gangsters is playing. It's the same thing I'm just talking about. So this movie is based on the hood and the OGs that started the gang back in the days to protect Jake. The next generation took it and terrorizing their own people. So that's the extent of a nigga mentality. This is why the Lord is gonna really, really go in extermination mode when it comes down to his people. And we've been saying it for the past couple, he's using his best weapon that he has. And his best weapon is Esau. All right? Esau, the so-called white man. Because you idiots, you nincompoops, you hard rocks, shark colors, savages, thugs, and all this other stuff, you marinated in the fact of crime is everything. You indulge in that. Hey, I read it. I'm gonna read it again. On Jeremiah 5:26, it says, For among my people are found wicked men." All right, and black culture, hip hop culture breeds that. If you're not a hard rock, or back, I'm using terms back in the days, hard rock, hoodlum, ragamuffin, um, gangster, uh, thug, Savage came a little bit later. What was it called other than that? They used Stuck for a long time. But if you're not any of those things, and now YNs, young nigga, you don't get nowhere in the society. Nowhere in it. This society uplifts that behavior. Matter of fact, real quick, Isaiah um, 5 and 20 or 26? 5 and 20. It says, woe unto them, no, sorry. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. And that's our people. They uplift the most degenerate behavior to a point where, like the scripture says, they're more wicked than the wicked. And even the wicked, like, damn, I ain't think about it. All right. Matter of fact, let me keep reading. It says, back in Jeremiah 5 and 26, it says, from among my people I found wicked men, that lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap to catch men. That's why Trump said what he said. They mean. They're mean because they don't show no remorse. They don't show no care for their fellow man. It's because majority of crimes that's committed that they like to use as stacks on is what they call black on black crime, Latino on Latino crime, because that's the only people that our people could go after. It's all by design, but now that same design is about to crumble right before your eyes. They cultivated that um they cultivated that environment. They really cultivated it. They nourished it. They gave it okay. Child acts up. I remember back in the days, if you act up, man, you get your ass beat. Now, growing up, when I was getting a certain age, the generation after me, if they get hit, they could call it, we call it child services and shit like that. And then there was a campaign to discipline your children. But we all know if you don't discipline your child, the street's gonna discipline your child for you. Matter of fact, hold on, let me read this real quick. Hold on, let me use this one. And it's in Proverbs. Oh, is it in? Oh, let me see. Spare not the rod. Might be, oh, if it's not Proverbs, yep, it's in the I know where it's at. It's in the Apocrypha. Apochy. Okay. All right. Let me try this. It should be Sirach. Nope. Wow. No, I'm not making these up. All right, let me type in rod. Yep. Sirach 30:1. It says, "He that loveth his son cause him off to fill the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end." So when you take that away from, uh, when you take the father out the hood, matter of fact, let me keep reading. He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance. He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Sorry. So when you take the father out the household, this is what the results. And they knew that. This is why they always come up with stacks and stating with those stacks. Oh, this black, the fathers are out the household. They created that. There's another one. They created that atmosphere, and they got the results that they want. Now they got these brute beasts out there, these monsters, and with these monsters, people are wondering what went wrong. It says, there it is, Proverbs 23:13. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. So if you don't discipline him as a child, when they grow up, the streets, the world is going to discipline him and is going to destroy them. It says, thou shalt beat him with the rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell. So, hey, Esau did this whole stunt diabolically, and this is why Psalm 17:13 it says, "Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." Who is the Lord's sword? The Lord's sword is Esau. What is the Lord's sword? They had the design, which we're about to see. We're about to see the utter destruction of 2/3 of the nation of Israel. It says Romans 13. I can show that one. Let every soul be subject to the higher power, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High, because what? The Lord controls everything. Matter of fact, to back that up, just to back that up. Not Isaiah. What am I could do Isaiah too, but I want this one. Daniel's 4 and 17. It says, "This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the holy ones, to the tent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whosoever he will, and set up over it the bases of men." So whosoever the Lord will, he gave that power and that thing to Esau. So the Lord is the one that's given the green light for certain things. That's why Trump can't wait, man. He's being moved by divine. Him and those elitists, they're moving by a divine spirit to judge the nation of Israel, because judgment is coming. It says, "Whosoever therefore resists the power, resists the ordinance of the Most High." All these little laws that they put where niggas know they could keep, but they refuse it. They created a culture of criminals, heartless beasts. Hey, Negroes love these young YNs love going in and out of jail like it's a fucking um like it's a club spanky, you know? Even in the 90s, I remember everybody used to fucking just get locked up for the most dumbest shit, and then they're like, it's nothing. It's like, oh, it's nothing. And they will always boast and brag, yeah, I was just locked up, da da da. No remorse in their voice, nothing. That was warning, like, yo, change your fucking ways, nigga. And now they created other beastlies, and this is the results of it. It says, "And they that resist shall receive themselves damnation. For the rulers are not a terror to good works. So yeah, if you're doing the right thing by doing the will of the Lord, these cops ain't gonna fuck with you. All right. And if they do, that's for their judgment. You know, there's certain things that happens to certain people because it's necessary. And now we're seeing with all this AI, not AI, sorry, with all the social media and the behaviors of the people, why the Lord has to judge his people the way he has to. All right. It's coming to the point when it's like, it's expected. This is why I went, what was that? Oh, it was the other shit with Venezuela. But the majority of people are happy that this guy's going to send troops into these cities. All right. People are happy about that because Jake been terrorizing their own people for a long time. And the only equalizer, the only thing that they feared was Esau, the sword of the Lord. But not knowing when he gets in there, he's not coming out. All right. For the rulers are not terror to good works, but to evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of the Most High. So Esau is nothing but a tool that the Lord can use at any moment. He can use anybody. It so happens that everything's on this devil. It says, but if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. So when they send the National Guards to Bronx, New York, Brooklyn, New York, Chicago, South Side, and all this other shit, they're not coming in vain. They're not coming in vain. They coming to fuck shit up. Because you've been fucking shit up. All right? We're not, the only side we're taking the side of prophecy. That's the best answer you can ever say. We're taking the side of prophecy. And the prophecy says that the devil's going to come down having great wrath. Well, let the devil come down having a great wrath because that's his two-edged sword against him. His judgment is going to come with that. It says, he is the minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. And that's why he said, oh, Chicago, no, say Washington is clean. We got all the hard ones, you know? They said all that shit. Like they emphasizing like, yeah, it's working. It worked. Lock these guys up, get them out of my country, take them out. Because at the end of the day, how many times we see a fight when Jake's not showing no mercy? Hey, that's the judgment of the Lord. All right. Was it Zechariah 13:8? It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, two parts therein shall be cut off and die. Did it say how they're gonna die? Matter of fact, there is emphasis how they're gonna die. Jeremiah 15:3. It says, I will appoint over them four kinds, saith the Lord, the sword to slay, dogs to tear, and fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. I will cause them to be removed. Matter of fact, I was supposed to go up. No, it doesn't matter. So the Lord appointed death to his own people. All right. Ezekiel, I was thinking about this as well. I'm going to bring this out a lot. Son of man, prophesy, saying, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and furbished. It's sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? Just like yesterday in New York. The whole weekend, actually. All right. There's a carnival parade that takes place on Sunday night until Monday. And is if you be out there midnight, because I've done it in the past, there's so much people out there. It's like it's daytime, and all those mother effers are doing the most abominable work. So during this process, there's always fights, always killings, always some sacrifice that happens. West Indians, Haitians, you know, they call it Juve. I forgot what it means. And you got the West Indian Parade, which is all celebrating Bacchus and so forth. And there's different deities, and there's always a sacrifice. Always somebody getting shot, killed, something. Something always happens. All right. And during this process, before somebody gets shot, people out there, women has half naked or naked, making mirth. And them niggas wasn't thinking about ICE. They wasn't thinking about the National Guard that's coming. It was like, nah, we're gonna party, we're gonna have a good time. But all this stuff that's happening, this build up that's happening, and the threats that's taking place, your head should be in the swivel because you don't know. All right, this is a scary time for everybody. They made organizations just to come after Israelites. It says they contempted the rod of my son as every tree, have given it to be sharp, to be furbished, that it handle, may be handled. Sorry, the sword is sharpened; it is furbished to give it into the hand of slayer. That's why they find any fucking, they're making any invention to how to kill Jake. So the devil was gonna come now having great because the Lord ordained it. Like how he done in the past, he used other nations to get back on Israel. And this time he's not gonna hold back. This is why the scriptures talk about Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. But Jacob's trouble is in some sense is gonna be justified. All right. Matter of fact, since I said that, let me prove it. Jeremiah 30, is it 14? Is it 13? Oh no, Jeremiah 30 and 12. I gotta go more. No, yeah, 12. But thus saith Yahweh, thy bruise is uncurable, thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound, that has no healing medicines. So, as it was Isaiah, the 51st chapter tells you about, oh no, Isaiah, the first chapter tells you that the whole head is sick. There's no remedy for them. Those beasts out there that's being haunting the stores and are hanging about, doing all sorts of things. There ain't no remedy for them. All right, they're sick in the head, especially now. They into all types of shit. Men with men, women with women, and these guys are supposed to be gangsters and whatever they call themselves. So the Lord's like, look, there's no cure for this. Because he said, I wounded thee with the wound of an enemy. He said, all thy lovers have forgotten thee. The cause of your problem is by following these other nations, especially Esau. And they ain't trying to help. Look, Donald Trump, look what he just said. Straight up, he said, these criminals are hard rocks. They he painted them the perfect picture for them. All right, this is like, oh, they using all that shit that they seen, the statistics, the attitude, everything like that, and they're about to use that against you. It says, they seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy iniquities, because thy sins were increased. It said, why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is uncurable for the multitude of thy iniquities, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. So all this static that's about to take place, the Lord is the one that did that. And a lot of you forgot about your history. He's about to remind you real quick. So, you know, that's all I want to talk about with that one. So now these devils are preparing to come after blacks, Latinos, and they haven't forgot about you natives. They're far from it. And they're going to use every justification to do it. Because right now we in the process and the time of the judgment, the heavy judgment the Lord is bringing upon his people, which is a thing called Jacob's trouble. But Jacob's trouble is the world's trouble. All right. So with that being said, shalom to the elect of the nations. Shalom.